enjoy the challenges of beekeeping. This is just my solution to make it a little bit more affordable and cut back on some costs when I can. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. All beekeepers go through challenges, we all know that. I mean, whether it's your first year, you just got bees this spring and this is your first year going into it, or you've been doing it for 30, 40 years and you end up having, whether it's queen issues, beehive issues, you're always learning. One thing I've learned this year more than others, mainly because of the amount of hives we have now, is how important ventilation is for the bees, especially in these hot months. We're at the end of July going into August. Here in the South, we have had some pretty hot weeks. In different parts of the country, it's been like that. We just came out of honey harvesting, getting honey extracted. Some places they're still maybe in honey harvest farther up north, but still you're going through that thing of feeding, making sure your bees are strong going into winter, treating them and all that stuff. So one thing I am very late on doing, but we'll have it for August, is I've been building some what I'm calling shim ventilation boxes. I know you can buy them, but they're really easy to make. If you've got any type of shop, you've always got scrap pieces of wood around, different thicknesses from 3/4 down to, I think this stuff is maybe 5/8. Something like that. This is really cheap because it's particle board. But again, these are only going to be on the hive for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 8 max. They're not going to get a whole lot of weather, at least for us, because we don't have a whole lot of rain during this time normally. And even if we do, that's why I'm painting them. I've made these and 2 others already for our 8-frame hives. And basically what they consist of is I leave one side closed. I have 2 holes on this side. I made these holes a little bit bigger. I think these were 1.25 inches, maybe they're inch. I put 2 on each side, here and here and here and here, and then I put 1 on this other side. And what I do is when I put it on the hive, because we all know robbing when we get into dirt is a problem, I always make sure the hole, one that's got the screen in the back, I always make sure I put it to the back of the hive, so it's not by the entrance. That way, if there are bees out there looking to see what they can get, they're not coming to the hole on the front and then going, oh, but there's bees down there, and they go down there, and just kind of limit some of that robbing. Because I did make them out of chipboard, I guess you would call it, or OSB. I ended up putting some corners in them to strengthen them up. And I'll show you how I did this. I'm getting ready to make some 10-frame ones. So I'm just going to make a 10-frame one. Show you how I made these 8 frames, and we'll go from there. This is the regular metal cloth we put in here. You could put metal screen if you want. Just staple it in there and off you go. So let's get into this project and I'll kind of show you what I did. Okay, one thing I do want to say, if you do use board that isn't, like this is a plywood, it's a little bit thicker than the other we used. Again, they're not living outside for a long time, but if it's not exterior wood, make sure you prime it, make sure you paint it with a decent coat of exterior paint. I'm probably going to do a minimum of 2, probably 3 coats just to help them out, make sure they last longer. You make these things so cheap. If they last 2 years and you throw them out, you could probably make 10 of these things for more than you can buy one from one of the stores. Not saying the ones that you can buy from the bee stores aren't good. They're made out of quality wood and they take their time to build them really precise, and that's good. But when you got a lot of hives, it takes a little bit too much money to buy all those. So you kind of make stuff out of what you got. So basically what I do is I've cut these. The last ones I think I did at 3 1/4. These I ended up doing at 3 inches. So I could get a little bit more out of this wood. If I went 3 1/4, I would have lost 1 board length out of the piece of plywood I had, which wasn't big. I mean, it was only this long, which is 3.5 feet maybe. Most of it was probably close to 3 foot because of the notch on it. And that's about it. So 3 inches here. And then, you got a dirty one. I've got a 10-frame box, and basically how I've been building them, I do this measurement all the way across to here, and then the ones coming down here, I butt end into that. I don't do any fancy joints, they're just butt end joints. So like this 10-frame is outside to outside is 16 1/4, and then I have to go from the inside of where that board ends to where this board ends. So it's 16 1/4 wide, and this is 18 7/8. Now, that's if it was that size of board. Since this board is not quite as thick, what I'll do is I'll set these up here, each on the outside, this outside to this outside, if it'll stay. Okay, so what I do to get the boards right, remember this was 18 1/2. So I set this board down with the outer edge matching that outer edge. and I'm just setting it on my box just so I can get a measurement. I draw a line on the back side of this board onto this, and then I'll do the same thing down here, again matching the outside of this board to the outside of the box. This is just to get my measurement. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah. And then between those lines, I'm going to measure, and I'm getting 18 3/4. So I'm going to write down 18 3/4, and we said 18 and a half. No, sorry, 16 1/4. And the reason I was doing that is it depends on the thickness of your board. If you're using the same thickness as a standard box, which is 3/4, you can just use these same dimensions based on where these cuts were and do it that way. If you're using something thicker, if you're using something thinner, again, you're using scrap wood, so you may not get the exact same stuff. You just need that measurement so you can, when you put it together, you're basically putting the butt end like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, with those measurements, we're going to go here and make our cuts. Okay, this is probably going to get a little noisy, but we'll get these cut. We're going to be making, I don't know if I can get 4 out of this or not. Probably not. I'm at least going to get 3. Again, it was 16 1/4 on the box. Let me make sure of that. Remember, measure twice, cut once. So we know that's our cut. It's 16 1/4 for this. Then this other cut, remember, was 18 3/4. So you just got to make sure you plan out your wood to where you can get the most cut out of each thing. It's just like, I know I can get another one of these out since I can't get a full one. This is tight, but we can get another end piece. I'll get these cut up quick and then we'll get back. One thing I do like to do is make sure before I cut them all that I stick these up here and see if they're making my lines where I need them. I don't necessarily have to have that one. Yeah, we're going to be good. One thing I like to do is just kind of set these here. Just wrong one. Making sure I made these cuts correctly and measurements. We did, so we're good. If you're just a little bit off, it really doesn't matter. Again, this is more of a shim than anything else. It's not a complete box. You'll be putting these, I do anyways, I put them underneath my inner cover. So like I'll have my boxes this in so airflow can come up because I have screen bottom boards. And then we put the inner cover on and then the lid. Okay, so I was hoping to get 4, but we're going to get 3 made. So we have 6 side pieces and 6 end pieces. I'm going to show you how to put these together. I'm going to do one, kind of go through the process. So with the drilling, we'll need 1 end piece and 2 side pieces. It's not as easy, but you can do this with either a paddle bit, or I'm going to use a hole saw over my drill press. It made it a whole lot easier and cleaner hole. I do go from one side, drill part way down in, and then flip it over so I can get clean cuts on both sides, and it also makes it a lot easier to get the little plug out. So I'll show you that. Okay, so for the end piece, I just put it in the center. Let me get it all centered here. So I put it in the center here to here, and as close to center as here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as you get it fairly close, you should be good. So since I've got a hole here, that'll be my guide hole. I'll open this up. Go right back down through that same hole. have it. So I'll get these other drilled out here, and here I'll show you how I did these. So basically about a third of the way in, I'll do the same process I did on that one. And while I'm on that side, just go do the same thing here. Okay, so you see that? About a third of the way down, maybe a little bit off, but we're close. So I'm gonna get the rest of these cut, and then I'll show you the next step. So again, there's the holes on the double end, the one end that has the single hole, and then that one. Do want to thank a couple friends of mine. One's a little bit closer than the friend, family. My table saw broke down the other day. Don't know what went on, so I had to go to my friend's buddy's house, and he helped me get these cut, so thanks to him. And then the drill press was refurbished by David down in Alabama. He did an awesome job with it, and we've maybe had it back here 3 years now. I need to have him give me a lesson on sharpening hole saws. That took a little bit longer than I thought to do that. But okay, now I'm going to show you the other thing you have to do is get a rough idea of this surface here. I usually to put the wire mesh around here. I try and keep it about a ½ inch in from the edge, so when you staple it, you can do it. So I basically cut a strip fairly long just so I can get several pieces out of it. I think I get enough out of that. And I'll do one of these here, and then I'll get the other ones. So basically, as you can see, about that wide. I make that probably a little oblong because these are only 3 inches. And then that'll go on. I don't know if you can even see that. Like that. I'll show you it after I staple it. I guess I needed to make more. But you just want them big enough to where they cover this hole when they're flat. So bees can't get in or out. And yet you're still getting enough airflow. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut more. I would think this would help too in the north. I mean, I use screen bottom boards here, so I'm just trying to get more airflow. But even if you just have your front open, this will help get airflow through for your bees. Usually when cutting these, the mesh gets a little bit bent up, so I just make sure the edges are flat. And if you do get one that's kind of curved, I'll put it so the hump's up, so when you staple it down, it's a lot flatter. Okay, I'm gonna get a tighter shot of this so you can kind of see what I'm doing better. Okay, here I use a stapler, not the ones for the ends, which I'll show you in a minute. This is just stapler. I use 1/4 inch staples. It's gonna depend on the thickness of your board. 1/4 inch should be fine for most. If you get too thin though, that's gonna go through the other side, and you don't want that. So basically I just put some staples, make sure it's closed up. Sometimes you may have to put some on the side to make sure it's tight. So there, you can kind of see what I'm doing. It's not perfect, not art, just functional. So there you have it. You've got those, this one, and that one. Again, that's your end piece. So you're just making it so you've got vent holes. Air will flow up from the bottom and come out, and you'll help your bees get some good airflow in there. Again, this is during the hot months. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it any other time of the year. But okay, when it comes to these pieces, I like to put 2 boards down their same size. These little ones are on the ends because the way we measured it. So the long one needs to go up against here. If you measure the other way, you can do it however you want. Just make sure your measurements work out so it's fitting the top of your other box. With these being butt end joints, you definitely need to glue these. There's no way they're gonna last. Unless again, you do like I did on the 8-frame ones and corner piece in there and staple it. So make sure this edge is flat, that edge is flat. I'll have to get you the size on this. I think these are 1.25 inches. That one didn't quite go in, so we'll have to pound that in a minute. Put a little bit more glue on that because it kind of ran down. Again, make sure they're square and flat. Make sure the staple doesn't go to you. And you do want to make sure these are on the inside, not on the outside. That way your hole is clean on the outside and you should be good to go. Made a couple of these last year, but then our hives grew beyond what we kind of expected or what I was prepared for. So I think I ran out of staples. There you have it. That's the box. I'll have to fix that one. Okay, so there you go. Stick this on here. So that's basically how it goes. That just sits on there. Top cover goes on, and then we can do the outside cover, or my inner cover goes on, then that. So the air will flow up through and can get out here. Nothing can get, well, ants can get in, but bees can't get in, other bugs that want to rob you. I'll put a coat of primer on this, and then I'll put a coat of, or 2 or 3 coats of paint, exterior paint. Probably get it out in the hive in the next few days once this cures some. That's basically, if you do notice that it is a little flimsy, you can do like I did on the other ones, where you can, if it does seem to move a little bit, and this one I may have to, because being a 10 frame, it's a little bit bigger. You can always put little blocks in here, just staple those in, glue them and staple them, and that firms it up really well. They're just a temporary solution for a temporary problem you have when you need airflow in your hives. I'm probably making, this will be a total of 10, I think, that I'll have made once I'm done. Again, it was all scrap wood. The only thing is staples, glue, and the hardware cloth that we put on here, which is probably the most expensive part of the whole thing, but we're using so little of it, doesn't really matter. Hopefully that helps you out. Enjoy the challenges of beekeeping. This is just my solution to make it a little bit more affordable and cut back on some costs when I can doing beekeeping. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you click, subscribe, tell others about us. If you enjoy the video, just let us know, make a comment. If you got suggestions on better ways to do this, let me know. Thanks so much. Have a be blessed day.